whatever. He had to do some presenting. It's like he's just supposed to report. All of a sudden, he's selling. He like turns into salesman.
I was there.
Oh, were you a part of that?
Yeah.
Okay. They love it when you get to do the thing that you love. And because it's the thing you love, you're the one that can speak about it, know about it. You get to unpack that thing for them. And so whether it's coaching football or you know, or like dirt track racing, like I said, or working out, you know, or whatever the thing is.
That's like even FCA. That's kind of what they do. There's eagles everywhere in this room.
Yeah, right. You get Philly Eagles. You get the Cincy Eagles. Oh. Well, Dillon, here we go, buddy.
Good to see you today, Janeil.
So we got to hang out some this summer. You doing camp teams.
Yeah.
And so tell me about camp teams, and then also tell me, why did I see 3 pairs of the same sandals?
Yeah.
Like under your bed.
Okay, that's kind of a funny story. So, I guess first thing, camp teams. So there's this, I guess, ministry that we do here at Central that we send out students every year during the summer to various different church camps, just to be able to pour into just campers all over, even outside of Missouri, like we did in Illinois, Indiana, Colorado, and so we'll typically have multiple camp teams, but we'll group students together and let them do ministry in those contexts, and that's also one of the ways that we do do admissions and kind of advertise our college and say, hey, if you would like to learn more about ministry or want to grow closer to Jesus, hey, come check out a Christian college. And we do that. So that was kind of what I did. So I went to 8 basically consecutive church camps over the summer.
Yes.
Did a lot of traveling, but man, it was really awesome because, I mean, God did a lot of really cool things.
Yeah.
I saw probably upwards of, I maybe saw 100 people get baptized over the summer, which was
that's awesome.
Which was really cool. And, I got to be kind of part of some of them leading up to their decision to follow Christ. And so getting to be a part of that and seeing so much transformation happen in just the week that I'm, at each camp was really cool. So,
and camp, I mean, going week after week, like it from going to NYR where you're camping in tents to some camps are really nice and have AC set up or something, and others don't, but it's go. But I just remember being at Lake James and seeing, I think it was pretty much 3 pairs of the same sandals. Because, hey, there's a way you prepare yourself for ministry. There's a way you prepare yourself for church camp. And apparently 3 sets of sandals of the same might be a part of that. Unpack that for me.
Yeah, so before I did camp teams, I went to Walmart and I bought a pair of like $6 pair of flip-flops or whatever, because I'm like, I'm going to be going to pools, probably swimming in lakes. I'm going to need shower shoes because you need those, And I figured, at the end of the summer, I just use them for shower shoes in the dorm, And I started out with 1 pair.
Okay.
And then when I got done with my first week, and I'm like, I'm going to need 2 because they're always soggy. I'm walking everywhere and I'm squeak, squeak, squeak. I think it was about my 3rd or 4th week, and Lake James was my 5th week when I was with you. So I had a black or like a gray pair, and I had a green pair. There's like a stripe around the edge of them or whatever. And while I was at the pool one day at one of these camps, I accidentally picked up someone else's flip-flops because like every Walmart around like carried the same flip-flops. Right. So I ended up with 3 pairs of flip-flops on accident. And I couldn't figure out, I was like, anybody losing flip-flops? And no one claimed them. So I'm like, I guess I'm just going to use them. Okay. And at my 6th week of camp, there was one camper that I ended up giving them to. So
they gave back. Ultimately, they gave to you. and then they get back. Oh, I just didn't know, because I didn't know if you had like, there's kind of the shower sandal, and then there's like the get around sandal.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, maybe if you got stuck in the mud pair. I don't know, but I saw that and I just thought that was really interesting. So clearly there's a way you prepare for camp teams and the things that you've done. How have you prepared yourself, and this is obviously a bigger, deeper question, but how have you prepared yourself for ministry? I feel like you're someone that has had a call on their life, and tell me if I'm wrong. I remember being a part of a missions process, and I could be wrong if I feel like you were going to come at one point, and then did you take a year off? Did you have to wait? No. You were able to come all the way through.
Yeah, because I went directly from high school.
Okay, so you came all the way through. So there's a way you prepare yourself for camp and what you're getting into. And then there's this way that you prepare yourself for the call and for your life. And I want to get to your story a little bit, specifically some things I heard you share at Lake James about your testimony growing up that really shocked me, took me by surprise.
Yeah.
And so maybe we'll get to that point. But having gotten through all of that, and you wanting to come to Central, being as talented as you are, I watch you as a musician, as a communicator. Yeah. What's gone into that process of preparing yourself for what you feel like the Lord's leading you to do right now in your life? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, so I guess starting out, for the first 13 years of my life, I lived without Christ. And so my family, like, I love them to death, but just like kind of, said I'm a Christian, but I never really saw it lived out. Like, I never knew anyone, close to me that loved Jesus and just wanted to follow him. And so, like, I never talked about Jesus in my household. I really didn't know anything about him other than Sunday school. And so, I had some character issues and everything growing up, and basically when I was 13, my parents enrolled me in this confirmation class, which is kind of crazy because my church is like non-denominational, but we have a confirmation class like it's Catholic. And so that was the first time, because my pastor was the one who kind of explains the gospel to me and everything. Like, we explain like all the basics about just the gospel story and what Jesus has done for us. And that I remember that being the first time that I ever saw another human being that I was kind of close with, somewhat, that really cared about the gospel and that really wanted to live it out. And that kind of struck me. And that was when I was 13. I was in 7th grade, and he challenged me to read the Bible. And I'd never touched a Bible before. Like, I never saw him growing up or anything like that. It just wasn't something I was around. And he's like, I want you to read the Bible every night. So, I was afraid of getting in trouble. I was kind of a people pleaser. And so I did that, and I wrote down, what passage I read in the Bible and where I read and everything. And I got into it, and I thought that it was going to be like a bunch of stories about, or like a bunch of fairy tales. I knew there was a couple stories about Moses splitting the Red Sea and Noah's Ark and all this, and I figured it'd be pretty easy to pick apart. And I'm getting a couple weeks into reading the Bible on my own, and I realized this actually makes a lot of sense. Like, this is making so much sense of my life, like where meaning comes from. Like, why am I so depressed? Like, why do I feel so guilty whenever I lie and I do all these sorts of things? And why does my pastor have so much joy? Why do people in church have so much joy, but I don't?
Yeah.
And I also remember it being the first time that I ever, like, I was reading the words, like Jesus like wrote these words down for me and said that he loved me. And that just wasn't something I really heard, growing up. Like, I just, no one ever said, I love you. And like, God was like writing about this. Like, he literally came to earth, like, and gave his life for me. And just like he did that out of love. And I was like, wow. And this is the Oh, go ahead.
Well, as I say, unpack that a little bit for me, if you're willing to go. You know, it's in one way it's mom, it's mom and dad, or mom's got you signed up for this class, and yet you're watching a faith being modeled by a pastor that you go, hey, this is different for me, which means some of that might speak to, well, what are you seeing at home? Obviously, this is different than what you're getting at home at some level, and then you know, you're saying something about like, hey, this is talking about a love, and this I love you in a way that maybe is that not a way your family communicated with you, like this all of a sudden, because it feels like it feels different, and it doesn't feel like it's something that you modeled at home. How do you unpack those two things of my roots and my family, but also this thing that I'm picking up on that, gosh, it feels so different to me, that there's a love, there's a message for me, there's a purpose for me that's starting to come through and starting to resonate, and it feels foreign to what I've known.
Yeah. So I would definitely say that my family does love me, and I could tell that from, you know, even a young age. Like I really do have a loving family, and they show that by what they do, but it's just kind of interesting. I mean, even today, it's just like I grew up very uncomfortable with saying that, like, even to my family, like I'd never say that to a friend. Like, I'd never say that to another person. It was just weird. Like, I just never,
I love you didn't just, that wasn't the thing.
Yeah. And my mom would kind of say that, you know, like, like when I was a little kid and everything, every now and then, I had a little sister, and at that point in my life, like, I really didn't love her.
But, yes, that can happen, right?
But and then my dad, like, I felt like that wasn't as funny as this may sound. I was like, you know, a man can't love.
Interesting.
And I just kind of got that sense from my dad, like I needed to kind of have like a cold relationship with my dad.
Yeah.
And that was just kind of like I feel like now looking back, I'm like, that's kind of a worldly influence. Like, and so it's a very uncomfortable feeling for me to, like, I never would have said to another person, you know, I love you.
Yeah.
And I was seeing this, it wasn't just like in passing when I was reading the Bible. Like, God literally wrote this book, like this 1.5-inch book. This isn't even like a love letter, you know, like this is a full-on textbook.
Yeah.
About like, I love you, Dillon, and I literally gave my life for you. And I was thinking, I need to do something with that love. I need to respond in some way to that. Like, whether it's true or whether it's not, like, I need to do something with that. And if Jesus is who he says he is, if he's the only one by whom we can, you know, have a relationship with the Father and see the Father, then I need to do something with this Jesus guy.
Yeah.
And so it was like one night when I was reading my Bible in my room, you know, I'd read every evening, you know, after I got home from school and back from the farm, I got all my chores done. Like, this was kind of my nightly routine, and I started getting into it. And at one point, I don't remember what night it was, you know, even though it was such a significant night, you know, I got down on my knees and I just prayed. I'm like, God, I really don't know a whole lot about you. Like, I really don't know what living out your word will look like. I've not really seen this. Like, the only place I've seen this is my pastor. But I want a life with you. I want to respond to this kind of love. And so it was kind of that night that I considered myself to have, like, given my life to Christ when I was 13. And
that's all off of this class, this pastor, this process, reading God's word, all of a sudden it's penetrating your heart. And then take me now to, so I'm assuming you start growing in that at some level, but something triggered from, this is not just something that I want to receive in my own life, or I'm overwhelmed to receive it because it looks different than everything I've known. This is something I think I want to start giving. This is something I feel called to now be his instrument of blessing in other people's lives, to be a mouthpiece, to be a communicator, to do these things that ultimately led you to going Central Christian College of the Bible makes sense for me for the things I feel like he wants me to do.
Yeah.
So how did you get from I'm receiving this thing that feels so different to I think I'm supposed to be given this thing, and that feels different because it's not a word. It's not words that I've normally been used to sharing. Because that Father's love's not cold. It feels different, right? And he can have that relationship with me, and that. All right, now I have to grow up in this thing, and now get to a place where I can share it. Help me understand that, unpack that a little bit.
Yeah, so it did take me a couple of years to figure that out because, I really didn't have a whole lot of influences, really. I mean, I was trying to figure out my faith basically on my own.
Where are you growing up at this time, anyways? Where are you from?
Yeah, so basically, my whole childhood up until came to Moberly at Central, it was in California, Missouri.
Okay.
So it's about an hour south. It's like Central Missouri.
Yeah.
And until I was a junior in high school, so I was about 16, I was really trying to figure out my faith without any resources. Like, I didn't know anyone who I could, other than my pastor, and I just didn't see him a whole lot. Like, I didn't know anybody who I could ask. I didn't know what the Bible, like living out the faith, was supposed to look like. And so when I was 16, I was reading through the book of Acts. And I started to notice, I'm like, wow, these people really care about their faith. These people are sharing the gospel, and the gospel is spreading like wildfire because of this. Like, it started out, there was 120. By like a couple chapters, you've got 5,000. Chapter after that, like, you can't even count the Christians because they're just sharing their faith like wildfire. And I'm thinking, I haven't done that. And I feel like I should be. That was the word of God just kind of speaking to my heart. And I'm like, I really want to share my faith because of that. And when I was little, my dad told me about how he started a science club in high school with a friend. And I was like, you know what? I want to start a Bible study club at my high school.
All right, there we go.
And so I had a friend, his name was Cole, and I went and talked to him. I'm like, hey, what do you think if we start a Bible study club? And he's like, sure. So it was like November of my junior year in high school. We emailed all the teachers, emailed the principal, got it all approved, started having meetings and everything. And like, I really didn't know, I didn't know my faith other than what the words were on the pages.
Yeah.
And I remember very quickly I realized, well, we didn't have anybody built in to like lead this thing up except the guy who started it all, who had, and so I realized, I was like, oh shoot, there's no one else to lead this thing. So I guess I'm going to be coming up with devotions for a little while. I'm going to be having to teach from the Bible, which I've been reading since I was, 13 or whatever. And I remember that being the hardest thing that I had ever done by far, like during that time of my life. Like, that was the hardest thing I'd ever done.
Yeah.
And
who showed up? So you're starting something, for you, you're 3 years into Bible reading, you kind of go, if I'm doing this thing and looking at Acts, it looks like this is something you're supposed to take with you, be sharing. Especially you look through Acts, you see all this persecution every time you share. So for you, California, Missouri, we should do a Bible study. Who shows up?
Yeah, I remember the first meeting that we ever had, there was probably like a dozen or so.
Yeah. And
then consistently from that point on, we had about 6, 7, people that would show up. And so, I mean, all the people that showed up were Christians. And so it wasn't, I realized fairly early on, I'm like, okay, whenever we're having these meetings, like unbelievers, like people who, like, I guess just haven't, made a decision about Christ or just don't know Christ, like they weren't just gravitating towards this thing. And so I realized quickly that what I was doing was kind of like Acts chapter 2, I think verse 42, like where the Christians in the book of Acts, like as soon as the church was born, like they were devoted to the apostles' teaching, fellowship, breaking of bread, and prayer.
Yeah.
And so that's just kind of what we started doing. And we just started having Bible study together. We just have discussions about, what does this mean and how can we do this?
So what grade would you have been at this time? Is this a junior, senior year?
Mm-hmm. So my junior and senior year, we kept it going, and it's still going today. God's blessed it quite a bit, and it's grown. And so
now tell me, and when you gave your testimony at Lake James at a campfire, I was floored to hear you say things about yourself that I would go, that is not the guy that I knew. You had called yourself really, in some ways, kind of, I think you used the word bully. At times you used the word narcissistic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, I do not know Dillon as a selfish guy, only out for himself, or any kind of bully, or any kind of narcissist. But you use that to describe yourself. And now here you are, junior year.
Yeah.
Looking way different, is that something that you internalized more than you think you actually looked on the outside? Because you also used the word people pleaser since we've been talking, and that's kind of what you were like. Yeah. Is this something that people would have seen a transformation, a difference in you going, this guy was always kind of either to himself, never cared about anybody else, cared about himself. And all of a sudden now he's trying to get us together for Bible study. Or were those more internal things that as you reflect on your life, you were like, I was much more this way than I ever would have led on. It's hard to be an internal bully. Like you either were, kind of into people, or being rude in ways that they just seem so foreign to me, the way that I know you now.
Yeah. So I think that a lot of it was internal. Like I had a lot more things I thought about than I acted upon, just because I was taught at a young age to like have a filter.
Okay.
Just so I didn't get in trouble, with other people or make people think, I am a bully or something.
Right.
So, I certainly did. I certainly was narcissistic. Like all those thoughts, like just lying or just all sorts of evil thoughts. I had them all the time. That's just what that's just what I did.
That was the tape just running in there the whole time as the filter across your day.
Yeah. And then, of course, like every now and then, when I'd be at school or whatever, or whether, I was just around my family or just whoever it was, some of those things would leak out. And so I'd say more often than not, I was a mean person more than anything. Like, not someone that people liked to hang around.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah. So
you're doing your Bible study. You've kind of come through that place. You're opening yourself up. Take me from, this is not something that we're just going to do on a Tuesday morning at school. This is something I think I need to be doing in my life.
Yeah.
On any stage that my life is a part of, meaning as I graduate, I want to take this further, and whether that means me getting into the pulpit on a Sunday morning, I want to do that. Like, how did that progress for you?
Yeah, so one of the first things I noticed was there was some transformation happening in the Bible study group that we had, and we eventually actually made it into an FCA chapter because we had some funds left over from like the middle school one. But I was able to develop some really deep relationships with other Christians that were my peers. And honestly, if it had not been for that Bible study group, if I had not shared my faith with them, I would have had no idea they had a deep faith.
Okay.
And so we kind of strengthened each other in that and kind of helped each other share our faith. So,
but all of you brought each other out of the shadows.
Right.
To have something to rally around and expose the fact, hey, we're believers in this, and there's strength together.
So that was something that was really cool, and I just wanted to keep that going. I wanted to have that for the rest of my life and be able to pour into others.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't have a clue what I was doing.
Right.
So that was one thing. And then I also just really, really loved studying and just sharing God's word. I just loved talking about it. And that was something that, even though it was really hard and it made me panic quite a lot because I didn't know how to share it, I really felt a deep passion for it. And when I was in high school, I remember my freshman year, I started getting into FFA and started taking agricultural classes and all these sorts of things. And I made like a vow to myself, basically. I'm not, like, as far as my career possibilities, like, I am not going into anything other than ag.
Okay.
I told myself, I'm not doing it. If it's, being an electrician or something like it had to have like farming in the name.
Okay.
So
you were going FFA. You got the corduroy jacket.
Right.
You're like, I'm in. This is my club. These are my people. This is what I'm going to do.
Yep. And I remember, like, I spent so many hours, so many nights just looking through, like, okay, this is a job that I could do in agriculture. This is one. And I went through all of them. Like, I probably created a couple of them, and I remember thinking, I don't have a passion in any of these. Like,
interesting.
It was something that I enjoyed, but I was like, I genuinely do not feel like, because I was a believer at that point, I was like, I don't feel like God, like, I don't feel like that's where God would want me.
Yeah.
Because, like, I remember started filling out scholarship essays and stuff, like, started getting on all that. And this was my senior year.
Okay.
And I was filling out all those scholarship essays, and they're like, why do you want to go in this certain career field? And I couldn't give them a genuine answer. Because I felt more pulled to ministry. I wanted to share God's word. Like, if I could do anything for the rest of my life, that is what I wanted to do. And I would do it with full force. Like, I wouldn't look back.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, I'm like, I'm going to do agriculture because it'll probably pay better. Like, that was what I was told,
Okay.
I'll have a more consistent job. Or there is, material reasons why I was going to choose agriculture over that. And, I made a vow to myself, basically. But there was a conversation that I had with a gentleman at my church. He just a wonderful guy. And he sat down with me and he's like, Dillon, what do you want to do after high school, as far as career goes and everything? And I was just completely honest with him. I'm like, I have been telling myself I want to go into agriculture this whole time, but I really want to go into ministry, but I'm afraid of the cost. And he just straight, like, as clear as can be, he's like, Dillon, God will take care of you. And, we just had a little bit of a conversation after that, and, like, I'll just never forget those words.
Yeah.
Like, that was the moment, like, when he said those words, that was when I flipped the switch, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to do what I feel like God's calling me to.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'd been looking into, like, Bible college and stuff, because I'm like, there's maybe a possibility I might go into this. And so Central ended up being the one that I picked because there's a guy, his name is Russell Cobb, and he was an interim pastor for me when I was little, and I was just too young to really know him that well, but my family's just always had a really, strong, good relationship with him. And so I asked him, I'm like, which Bible colleges should I consider, like, when I made that decision? And so he took me on a tour at Central, and, like, long story short, like, I could just see that the Spirit was really at work here. And that was what convinced me to go here specifically. Like, I saw, like, people being transformed by the Word of God, and, like, that's people awesome. like students were praying for me in the hallways and stuff like this. I was like, good. Wow, I want to do this, So ended up coming to Central, and so now I'm a sophomore.
Yeah, this is year 2.
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. And
are you in the preaching program?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
So basically, my goal is just to, at the moment, is to learn how to understand and share God's word, so that way I can help whoever I come across. And as far as my career goes now, whether that's in long-term missions, whether that's, helping at a church, even in the States or whatever. I want to help the church, and I want to help people who, don't know Jesus wherever God needs me. So after, I get an education here, I want to look for, where does God need me? Yeah. Where does God want me? And so,
well, that's the cool thing about, with the Lord and his call, like wherever, and I've heard it said, wherever there's vision, wherever he gives a vision for your life, he always gives a provision, and so there's that of, I think this is where he wants me to go. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I don't know how I'm going to get there. And then I would say also, wherever there's a calling, there's always an equipping. And so it'll be interesting to see as the Lord continues to unpack his purpose for your life. Yeah. Where does that equipping start to show up? What are those things that are equipping you for what he ultimately is going to have you do? That's exciting. So you got a lot of good things going on in your life right now. If you could ever go, man, I like a lot of things that are going on, but if I could be honest right now, here's the one thing though I would change. If I could change something in my life, I got all these good things going on, but if there's one thing I could fix or change in my life right now that I just feel like is either holding me back or is keeping me from ultimately embracing all of these things that I'm doing, what if you could unpack that, what's that look like for you? And that might be too much to share, I don't know, but if you felt like you got something that you could share that way, what would that look like for you right now?
Yeah, I'd say probably the one thing that I have been battling with, especially recently, is, like a lot of times, even when you're studying God's Word and you're in an atmosphere, where you're growing, with other Christians and everything, a lot of times that can become a bubble as well. And I definitely feel like, up until this point, I have grown so much from, just my peers and my professors and just everyone here at Central. But sometimes it can be hard for me, especially to go outside of that bubble and say, how can I help the lost as well? Yeah. How can I, share my faith with those who don't know Jesus and, share the love of Jesus with them. And so just remembering and pushing myself to do that is a lot of times a struggle for me. And so
that's I know even in my own life, there's things that I'll try to get into that in some ways they don't make a ton of sense, except only for the fact that it keeps me a little bit closer tied into where the world's at, because it's easy to have the bubble. And so like thinking about you in that way of going, you get into this bubble, and so then everybody around you is Christian, and I'm working at Central Christian College of the Bible. Yeah. It's very Bible-y. There's a lot of Bible all around us, and there's Bible kind of kids around us and trying to figure it out. And yet there were times, even while I was working here, that I would also coach for little Spartans, and I do 6th grade. Well, it put me back in community, and it would put me in a place where I wasn't around just church kids, and there was these single moms trying to, kid wanted to play football, and they got a mess going on at home, and you could start to see that, open up while you're with them every, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, as you're coaching, and games on Saturday, and then I would drive, and our president, Fincher never liked it when I did this, but I would drive, I took a bus route. So we had Torchy, we got our big bus, and I was trying to get my license for it. And so the bus barn is kind of where you'd learn here at local. And I didn't want to leave them high or dry, because they're paying you to learn. They're hoping you'll catch a route with them. And so I was up front with them about, hey, this is what's going on, because this is where I work, and I'm a vice president there. And our president never loved that one of his vice presidents was wearing a yellow vest in the morning, having to drive a bus, because it looked like, hey, maybe it don't look like we're taking care of our people. And the college takes care of me really well. But I did it. I did it because it was the thing that kept me close to what does the world look like, and where where are the people and what do they look like that need Jesus? And so getting up early and seeing the homes that the young people were coming out of and hearing their conversations on the bus, like some of that stuff was wild. The things that they would talk about and they would say, and some of it being the problems that they were coming from, you could tell, and then other parts of it was just like the vulgarity of the things that would be said, and you just are going like, all right, I'm right in the belly of the world and the flesh and the things that are controlling and leading young people and informing them of the things, of the postures that they need to take and the things that they need to do. All the while, I'm a guy working at college going, hey, we should be about the lost. We should be about the people that don't know Jesus. But outside of doing intentional things like that, I couldn't get close to the lost because I'm here. And so part of it is like you never, I don't know, just want to be someone that is always communicating to those that are believers. There's strength that comes from that. But how do you become a practitioner in this world that we live in and be that guy on a missionary journey like you read about in Acts? And go, how do I find myself and how do I position myself where lost people are always around me? And that I never get so desensitized to what's going on that I'm not right there in the middle of it, able and available to help and encourage and to communicate God's love to someone that's in my life, that's in my orbit, that needs that. And so, you know, thinking about your own life, where would the lost find you? Like if where would they find you to get connected? You're at Central, you're doing the preaching thing, which puts you in churches, which is great. But a lot of times when you're in churches, you know, you're talking to some people that need encouragement. Where could the lost find you right now as you think about your life? And maybe that's hard for the lost to find you right now. But where do you think, as you position your life for Christ, where do you think they'll find you? Where would the lost run into you so that they could get that word, get that encouragement? I
think you actually have a really good point. And so, like, I mean, right now, I'd say that, you know, this is kind of like I think you brought up a good point in that, like, I haven't positioned myself, you know, at the moment to, you know, look for the lost, because, you know, a lot of people, like, when they, you know, just do their daily life, like, the lost are just kind of built into their schedule. Like, they're around them all the time. And I'm just thinking about my, you know, recent, you know, time. Like, this is our second week at Central so far. You know, and I spent, you know, a whole summer with, at church camps and everything.
Which is huge, because you've got some great kids that are there, but they're also bringing their lost friends. I mean, you witnessed that and watched that. There's a lot of decisions for Christ. There was a lot of amazing transformation that you did get to be a part of with that. For me, coaching football, driving a bus, you know, driving big things, like whatever, that's something that I've been able to enjoy. For you, when you think about being in ministry, what do you think would be the side pieces for you? Like when I used to be in lifting, and so then I'd go to the gym, and I met a lot of guys when I was first getting my life kind of figured out from a health standpoint. This was down in Texas. All of a sudden I met a lot of guys, and that kind of became a thing. You know, the coaching kind of became a thing. I was doing that then, the bus driving. For you, where would people find you? I know you love music. You know, like, would they find you down at the honky tonk? Like, would you ever be a guy that would have a band or have a thing like that? Or like, what do you think the thing is that you'd get into where the lost would find you in a unique way?
I guess this is about the first time I'm thinking about it this semester, just because you know, I just came from camp teams, and past 2 weeks, like, I mean, you've pointed out, I've been living in a bubble. So,
well, you brought that up, and it's like,
right.
man, it makes sense. Like, it is, especially you have enough awareness to go, hey, if there's one thing I can change right now, it's the fact that I'm in this bubble.
Yeah.
So it already speaks to a posture that says, I need to be where the action's at.
Yeah.
I need to be where the kingdom action's at, right? I mean, we talk about wherever there's a call, there's an equipping, and you're definitely in an equipping stage in your life because you're at Bible college. And so I understand there's a bit of the land of Hogwarts, you know, of all surrounding yourself by like-minded Christians studying and having that passion. But, you know, you speak of agriculture, and I know you love music and you do music. I was just curious to go, like, I wonder where after this season and after this time you're out in ministry, where am I going to find Dillon to connect with him outside of a Sunday morning?
Oh yeah.
What would that look like for you? What kind of hobbies, what kind of things you get into that you think you might be able to leverage those things in a unique way for the kingdom?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you can certainly have short, interactions, and you can start long-term relationships with just everyone you meet, who's out and about, whether it's in the grocery store or just whoever you meet on a daily basis. But to build long-term relationships, like, you've really got to seek those out, or you've got to position yourself where you're spending a lot of time with these people. So, like, one of my friends asked me yesterday if I wanted to go and lift at the YMCA, nearby with him. So that could be one opportunity where I could go and do that. There's places all over town, but even thinking like my hometown, even in California, Missouri, it's only an hour south of where I'm at now, and on the weekends I see a lot of people that I know, from my hometown that either don't know Jesus or I could really pour into them. They're kind of in a spot where they're really struggling with their faith. Yeah. So
you go home most weekends?
Yeah.
Now, do you have any kind of weekend ministry? Like, let's even talk about that. Like, I know you're in that timing and in that spot where you could be doing some pulpit supply, or you might be working back at the home church. Yeah. Like, what do your weekends look like for you right now during this season?
Yeah, so right now it's a little bit sporadic because so my home church is in a small town called Jamestown, Missouri. Okay. We have a sister church. Then there's a church nearby that's Lupus Baptist Church. There's a church in California, Missouri that's the United Church of Christ. And so, like, between those four, I'll help them quite a bit with either playing piano for them if they need that, because I started playing piano when I was in 6th grade.
That's so crazy. That's so great. That's a skill, man. When you do that, some people resist it, and I'm envious of it, because I played. I think it was 6th grade, probably when I started, and I still remember playing Hot Cross Buns. It's like the first little song that you learn on the piano or whatever, and I was in the band, but I didn't stick with it. Yeah, and I hate it that I can't be more musical now. But you got that skill set. So are you doing that? Can you just pop in on a Sunday morning and like, hey, the hymn of decision is number 275. We're gonna sing the first and last stanzas of Just As I Am, and Dillon Wood's gonna you're gonna tickle the ivories. Can you you can just pop in and do that? That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
So a lot of times I'll play piano, and starting last year at Bible college, like, this is the first semester now that I'm taking a preaching class. Okay. And so even before that, people are like, you're going to Bible college, you want to preach for us? I'm or like, especially at Lupus Baptist Church and my home church, my sister church, like, there would be times when the pastor would be gone, or his whole family would be gone, and they're like, can you fill in for us, or can we take a vacation on this Sunday and can you fill in for us? So I think I've probably preached about 5 like full-length sermons. Okay. And so now, Dr. Stevens is going to whip me into shape. Right. You say, you're doing it wrong, actually. But so I'm really excited for the preaching class. But, But yeah, as far as outside of the church, I think that you've brought up a really good point today. And like, this is an example of, God can use the things that, aren't even on, my agenda to, call me out for the things that, I'm doing or not doing. So,
well, I remember hearing a youth minister one time. I did a little bit of youth ministry. I did some children's ministry way back in the day. And I remember trying to figure out, like, well, what do you got to do, and how do you go about doing that? How do you connect with that generation, that group of kids? And even today, I'm someone that's still like, I love to communicate, I love to preach, I love to try to encourage young people. But the one word that was kind of given to me a long time ago by a youth minister that I love, a guy named Brewster McLeod out of Lexington, Kentucky. He was there forever at Southland. And the message really to me was, do the thing that you love to do. Like, don't try to figure out what other young people are into. You do the thing that you love to do, and you just take kids with you.
Yeah.
And it was kind of so freeing, because if you're into dirt track racing, then, and you think like nobody loves that, or that's great. It's like, no, man, on a Tuesday night or whatever, if the track's open, you go do the thing you love, and then you just invite kids with you, or you invite people with you, invite the lost with you. They love it when you get to do the thing that you love. And because it's the thing you love, you're the one that can speak about it, know about it. You get to unpack that thing for them. And so whether it's coaching football or or like dirt track racing, like I said, or working out, or whatever the thing is.
That's like even FCA. That's kind of what they do.
Yeah, like you find your deal, and you just bring people in with you, And so if I were to say you find your deal, I'd say, well, then for me it's to say, well, what's the deal for Dillon? Like, what do you think that other piece might be for you? Do you have some stuff you love to do?
Yeah, so
you did a little bit of shotgun sports. I know.
I do. Yeah. So, there's the California Shooters Club or whatever. There's lots of people that just are on the range all the time, and I get to, spend time with them or whatever. And there's a lot of times there's people I see over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Meetings or just whatever, and so that's kind of a place where I can point people to Jesus, or I've kind of considered going with my friend to the YMCA to go lift, and so that's another way that I can do that. So I like music as well. So
have you expressed that anywhere outside of church, like your music gift? Because you got so many things that you can. I feel like you do piano. Now you sing the national anthem for us.
Yeah,
you've done that. You used to do that at other places. I feel like you either did it in school or maybe VFW or something. Have you ever?
Yeah.
Or Memorial Day or something. I can't remember. I feel like maybe you've done that at other places.
Yeah.
Have you ever used that gift outside of the church in any way?
Not. I mean, when I was in high school or whatever, but not in the community sense.
Okay.
Not really. So that's something that I'll have to think about.
Yeah. You're really good at it. So I just think that would be a fun thing to get into. What do you think? So there's the idea of, hey, there's some things that if I could change one of these things, you talked about changing the bubble a little bit. Do you feel like there's anything in your life that keeps you, that holds you back? Like if you got anything, tapes or anything in your mind or stuff where you're like, man, there's so many things I feel like that is great about God's goodness for me in my life, but this is the one thing that just keeps me from being myself or being my best, or those things. Is there anything that holds you back right now that you can think of, or do you feel pretty clean and clear and going, hey, it's a good season for me? Like, no, I feel like I'm stepping more into myself than I've ever done.
Yeah.
Or is there anything that you go, man, this one thing kind of keeps holding me back, and it tries to rob my joy during this season of equipping?
Yeah, I'd say I have a little bit of both, just because, because I've been at Central and because I've been did ministry in camp teams, and I've done a mission trip last year, and are preparing for all these things. I feel like I've been doing better now than I guess any other time of my life, but I guess one thing that I'm always struggling with is just like, what are others gonna think about me? Like, that's something that I'm always thinking about. I even asked one of my friends today, I'm like, hey, does my outfit look dumb to you? Like, right. Just like, that's something that I'm always thinking about. And it doesn't have to be my appearance or just anything like that. It can just be even morally, like, what are others going to think if I say this in a sermon, or if, I were to do this, or...
Just to give you a little bit of freedom on that, I've been wanting to preach at Timberlake Christian Church for a while.
Yeah.
It's kind of the home church, and I haven't been able to do that, and I've preached a lot. So finally I get the opportunity to preach, and in the second service, I let too many, my intrusive thoughts come through, so sometimes I'm preaching and I'll have intrusive thoughts come in. Sometimes I can work them into the message because they're like stream of consciousness thoughts that could be really helpful. But when you're saying, man, I'd be afraid of what I would say and what people might think. I did say SOB in my sermon in second service, and I was like, that's probably not great. So even when you're older, you'll be worried about some of the things that you might say from the pulpit.
Yeah.
That might get you into trouble, but anyways. Well, speaking of that, is there anything that you would go, I've never said this out loud, but if I could voice, this is something that I would, if I could say a thing, this is the thing that I would say. Like, is there any part right now, where you're like, there are those thoughts that you hold underneath that you're just like, I don't know if people will be ready for, if they really knew how I felt about this, or if I were just, I don't know if I could ever
like
say this
a good thing, or like a
either way. Maybe it's a thought you have right now in about your own life, about where you're at, or just going like, here's a thought I keep thinking. This thing keeps coming to my mind. I keep thinking about this. I keep ruminating over this, but I just haven't ever said it out loud, and I don't know if I could. I don't know what people would think if I said it. Like, do you have any of that kind of stuff?
I have a really hard time saying no.
Okay.
Like, just, that's one of the things. I'm like, what are other people going to think of me if I say no to, hey, Dillon, would you like to be a worship leader? Which I said yes to. Yeah. How would you like to be a D group leader? And I'm like, well, I don't really know how to tell Mr. Hammond no, so I guess yes, and... I've definitely added a lot of things to my already busy plate and everything, and I'm just thinking, am I really trusting my gut for all this stuff?
Yeah.
Or am I trusting what God, would rather me do?
Yeah.
Like, is because honestly, like, when I made a lot of those decisions, like, I didn't pray over that.
Sure.
Like that's something that I didn't invite God into, and I'm like, I definitely should have.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times I put myself into those situations, and I'm thinking, am I really supposed to be doing this right now? Like, I'm gonna make the most of it. Like, I'm going to serve God, either way, but like, and just, how do I know when I should say yes to something and when I should say no to something?
Yeah.
Is there like, are there battles I'm supposed to pick?
Right.
Or, or are all these, promptings, are all these things something that God is saying, hey, you should do this, Dillon? Or is that, someone, saying, hey, Dillon, you should do this, and I should, pray about that?
Yeah.
And so without praying about that beforehand, well, there's not really a good way to know whether you made that decision, according to God's plan or your own.
Man, that's a good word, because I'm watching this, even with my own kids. I was having a conversation with Nene about something like this not long ago. But when your life in your ministry most likely will not be defined by the things that you say yes to, but the things that you can say no to. And a lot of times when you're looking to add value and you're looking to explore your capacity, you'll say yes. And because they're ministry, they're service things, it feels like that's a value, that's a value piece. But you got to be really careful, because where the devil will get a foothold in that is to go, you are what you do, and your value and who you are is in the things that you do, as opposed to Christ, who says, no, you're my beloved. Your value is in me. Your value is in that I'm the one that has chosen you. But there's times where we feel like, for him, in order for him to love me, in order for others to love me, well, I better say yes to this thing. Because if I don't, well, then who am I?
Yeah.
If I were to try to measure these things against where I actually think the Lord is leading me versus, well, I have a capacity to do it, or I can try and force a capacity to do it. Although I was supposed to study tonight. Gosh, I had this other thing this weekend, but I don't want to tell them no. Have you found that you can struggle between those two dichotomies, I guess, of this idea of I am what I do, or is it I am who Jesus says I am, and that means I'm his beloved? Maybe somewhere in there is the answer to how do you know when you're doing the thing that God wants you to do versus I'm doing the thing out of an insecurity that I might not be enough.
Yeah.
Maybe it comes down to somewhere in that I'm doing this thing because Jesus loves me and I get so excited to do this, versus I'm doing this thing because I want to unburden someone else. Even if I don't feel like I have the time or the skill or the whatever, I don't want them to think poorly of me.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing to think about and unpack.
Yeah.
What are the things that cause me to say yes? And can I be in a position to ever say no?
Yeah.
And if you do say no, I'm saying no because I feel like the Lord is orienting my path in a direction, and that thing would take me in a different direction. It's a good thing. There's good, better, best. It's just not the best thing for me. So I have to go. But that takes a lot of maturity. That takes a lot of growth in your faith. It takes a lot of getting past and beyond. I've got to prove myself to all people all the time to get to a place where I can even think about that critically, but I still struggle with that. I'm always still trying to figure out how can I increase my value to Central. And every time I do something to try to increase my value to Central, there's I learned this phrase not too long ago in a leadership thing that we were doing, that there's no innocent yes. So when you say yes, there's no innocent yes when you say yes to something, meaning something has to suffer. If you say yes to something, something else has to give, right? And so, hey, sure, I'll help you. Sure, I'll jump in on that. Oh, hey, no problem. Yeah, I can do that. Well, there's no innocent yes. Yeah. Like something somewhere has to give, and can you figure that out and make sure that your yeses are always aligning with ultimately your calling and your purpose.
Right.
That takes a lot of time.
Because, when I, overloaded my plate this semester, and like I didn't pray about those decisions.
Right. Yeah.
Like you brought up today, I also need to be a witness to the world as well. And so that was kind of shoved to the side. That was shoved in the corner, put a blanket on it for the semester. And so whenever I overloaded those, that's what gave.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, thank you for just being the mouthpiece of God. Just, just this conversation, just
Yeah.
Thank Jesus that this conversation is happening.
It's helpful, right? Because we can get, especially in our Christian world, and especially if you're a ministry vocational guy, you'll start comparing lights. You're a light to the world, and that guy's a light to the world. My sister's a light to the world. And instead of going into the dark place, we start getting enamored with how my light shines different than your light, and we're feeling like my light doesn't shine as bright as your light, and it's all of us still in the room, all lit up. It's like, I promise you, go get in the dark, and you will shine bright. Like, people need to see you, and they need to be drawn into that space. But it takes a lot of confidence in knowing I am what I am because of who Christ says I am, not because of the thing that I do. It took me some time to do that. You've heard me preach, several times, but when I used to like to talk about trucking in the 2 years I was in trucking, and it was a real difficult time for me because I wasn't in full-time ministry, and I'm like, Lord, are you okay with this? Are you good? Are you good with this? Because I feel like I'm supposed to be doing awesome things in the kingdom, and driving a truck right now for the Dollar General, that don't feel like it's awesome. And yet out of all of that, Lord was like, man, I never put that burden on you. I never ever asked you to be awesome. I only ever asked you to be authentic. Just be my guy. Ephesians 2:10. I've created all these things in advance for you to do. Let's search those things out together. Like, don't be coming up with stuff, and don't think you got to be reaching for stuff. Like, just be my guy. You're my beloved, and you're much more to me than what you do and what you think you have to do. And so don't go chasing that stuff. Let's just journey together. Let's just connect and journey together. And so it took me even well into adulthood to finally break that chain of feeling like you got to be the most God-blessed, God-breathed brother out there in order for you to have significance and worth, and make sure your light's a little brighter than everybody else's light. Make sure there's always a little bit of kingdom envy or something. That's the craziest stuff. That's not a place you want to find yourself into. And yet sometimes we find those in the kingdom that they get caught into that. But it's the world. That's where coaching for me, a little bus route like that, it was humbling and humiliating enough. The way the kids would treat me sometimes. That it was like, all right, that's the place I need to be. That's where the light needs to be. And it doesn't matter if I'm being, shining off of 4D batteries or a couple AAA batteries. That's dark, and that they need light, and quit getting enamored with how big your light shines, but go shine what you got. And there's a lot of good ministry that came out of that, and good ministry to me, not just from me and Christ, but to me, like the things that the Lord was revealing back to me all the time. And a lot of, when you get free in Christ, it is that pressure. You heard me preach it a little bit, but that pressure to not have to be awesome, to not have to have good ideas, to not have to manipulate the outcome of your life, knowing like
that pressure taken off is awesome.
Right? Yeah, like what a burden lifting opportunity and stuff. So, well, cool, dude, man. It's been fun to connect with you today, just to hear more of your story, and I was just intrigued through this summer about the stuff you were getting into and the stuff you were saying about yourself and how I've known you, because I've known the light. I never knew the dark, and I was just like, man, that don't sound like that guy, but it's because he's bathed in light now. Like, you came to Christ. He's the Lord of your life, and
Jesus has done some awesome things.
All right.
Bye.
You're good. We'll see you.